Good evening and welcome to your Friday night podcast here on Four Lads Had a Dream. My name's Andrew and it's a pleasure to be joined tonight by two of my very favourite podders, Andrew and William, who is making his Friday night pod debut. So I can see, William, we're going to come to you first and discuss the hat. You talked about it, but you hadn't revealed it. So I appreciate you doing it live with our audience now, so we can appreciate it. Talk us through the hat, first of all. That's the most pressing news here.
It's my daughter's Easter bonnet hat. So I didn't really have a hat. Andrew kind of said we all better be wearing hats for this podcast, and I feel a bit set up. I'm not going to lie. I feel it's a sting operation, and I've just picked out the most unique hat I could find. So thanks to my daughter who picked it out. But we're a bit disappointed now that Andrew doesn't have his Red Sox hat on. That's really that's all I could find. That's the only hat I have.
Hey, all of this is about the effort, right? I've put in a lot of effort here. So as ever, right? Obviously, the big news that we're talking about is that the new manager has been announced. We've obviously talked it to death already, but we're going to do it some more tonight. Derek McInnes being confirmed as new Rangers manager after Danny Roll's official departure. Andrew, I'm going to come to you first. Obviously, we chatted through this on Friday when we thought an announcement was imminent. It wasn't quite as imminent as we would have liked because this is the first time that Four Lads has been live since it's been announced. But yeah, your reactions to it, your thoughts, and how are you feeling about the announcement overall?
First of all, thanks for saying hello to me as well, man. It's much appreciated that you just kind of skipped by me like that. Thought we were hat bros. Obviously,
Andrew, my ADHD is going to dictate that I will always go to the shiny new thing first, and then I'll get distracted and not come back to you. So you're old hat at this point. Pardon the pun.
Wow. Oh, that's awful. That's obviously I'm obviously getting loaned out this season. Evidently, if that's anything to go by. But yeah, happy to be back on. Yeah, Derek McInnes finally announced as the Rangers manager. Somewhere between Twilight Zone and 2016 with Rangers. Finally, Derek is the man in charge. I'm happy somewhat because of the fact that all the people that when we were talking about Danny Rule as a manager were always going straight and going, well, actually, he's the head coach, so you can jog on. Now that we can actually say manager again, that's an important thing to me. Obviously, quite difficult because obviously there's not much really happened since. We said, yeah, he's the manager, but I think he's still in the States for all we know. I think he was over at the Haiti game. The Rangers pre-season schedule and everything, that was kind of timeline, which I'm sure we'll go on to, get announced, and he'll be involved in that as the days and the weeks continue towards the start of the important games kicking up with qualifiers and the league campaign opening. But as a whole, happy. The process was as smooth as it could have been, to be fair. The talk of Danny Rule leaving kind of was immediately coincided by Derek McInnes being the favourite for the job. And then as soon as Salzburg did their part and announced Danny Rule was a new manager, we could announce that Derek was ours. So yeah, I suppose as smooth as a manager departing in the off-season can be.
Yeah, I think that was the key thing. Obviously, when the news started coming out about this, William, when we knew that Danny Roll was going to be leaving, I think the concern was that we didn't want to have similar to what we had last time when we were having to replace a manager, which unfortunately wasn't that long ago. We didn't want a protracted period. We wanted a quick replacement to be in because we didn't want to lose too much preseason. Now, we'll come on to it. Obviously, we know the preseason is going to be delayed by 4 whole days, but it's not exactly a crisis off the back of that. And we know that the team over the other side of the city, their preseason is going to be starting until a day after the new date anyway. So nothing to worry about, I think, on that front. The fact that we have a manager who will be there for the start of preseason and we can just kind of carry on with the business of preseason is a good thing. But yeah, your thoughts, your reaction overall to Derek McInnes finally being announced, and hopefully getting started soon.
Yeah, no, again, the whole delay, kind of, again, the 4 days, again, I think it's kind of to be expected. Came in, he probably wants to maybe do a little bit more evaluating. I think he's away again on holiday with his wife, again, stuff like that. So, guy's allowed to enjoy himself. For me, I kind of see it as like a little bit like Shankland. He's got his experience, went elsewhere, done what he needed to do to prove himself. I get the whole kind of maybe one trophy in however many years that he's managed, but again, the clubs that he's managed, would you really be expecting it to go out and win loads of trophies? So I'm quite happy with it. Again, I think it's a man who was with us in the 9-0 season, who understands the DNA, the identity of the club. And I think for a long time, we really needed that manager who I think really understands maybe, I don't want to say hatred, but that kind of, when it comes to these big games and small games, that everyone does dislike us as a club and as a fan base. And for those 90 minutes, I want a manager who understands to get our players motivated, have that bit about their teeth where they can turn into that see you next Tuesday, and for those 90 minutes plus, just absolutely run through a brick wall for them. Now, again, that doesn't guarantee that he's going to be a success. We've had managers in the past who have been Rangers players, but it hasn't been a success. So I suppose, yeah, it's all on Derek. It'll be interesting to see what he does with the pre-season. So again, I think we're going to go abroad. I don't know what we're going to do now, if he's going to stay locally in Scotland or whatever like that. But it'll be good. Again, I think he'll bring in some local, some Scottish-based lads as well, or people who understand the Scottish League. Because I've always said, and listen, I'm not saying anything new, it's its own fishbowl. It's unique. The amount of players who came from abroad who have had a great pedigree and just failed because they underestimate it. I think Derek McInnes will be good at evaluating what we need to get us over the line. See those games where it's like going up north or going away in a windy and rainy day. We need those players that have that grit and are going to push through and give that an extra 10%. So I'm overall happy with it. It's probably a long answer for a short yes. I'm very happy with McInnes coming in.
Yeah, I think a couple of points to address. I think, just from my take on them, not speaking on behalf of anyone, for me, I don't think you can hold the lack of trophies against a non-Old Firm manager. I think you can certainly hold it against an Old Firm manager in Scotland, because you're one of the two teams that are expected to be competing for these trophies. You see so often that other teams in our league come to Hampden and barely fill out the half of the stadium they're entitled to, and it's because they don't have that same weight of expectation over them. It's always, hey, great that we got here, but it's never that same demand, that expectation that you should be winning something, because the assumption is that one or both of the Old Firm are going to sweep the titles. Fortunately, it's not been us recently doing that. So I don't hold that against him. I think, for me, the importance of Derek McInnes was the fact that he took a Hearts team that, before the season kicked off, was not expected to do anything really significant. It wasn't expected to be challenging. I think even their owner was talking about possibly splitting the Old Firm, which they ultimately did in the end. They certainly weren't talking about winning the whole thing, and they came within 90 minutes of doing so. And you can say it's disappointing that they should have got it over the line, but they were dealing with a budget that's about a tenth of what the Ultimate Title winners was using. So I don't hold that against him. For me, I think the important point there, William, is the idea that you are getting a manager who understands the demands of Rangers Football Club. We've seen so often with both players and managers coming in that they don't really understand the level of demand that's there for these players, for this team, and being able to walk into the building with that knowledge, and also to be someone who is not trying to use this job as a stepping stone to go elsewhere, who is looking at this as, no, this is the pinnacle of my career. This has been what I've been trying to achieve. The same thing about Lawrence Shanklin as well. He's been trying to come here most of his career, if not all of his career. So the fact that these two are both in the building, I think, is a good start in terms of getting a better mentality within the club, which is, I want to come to Rangers and I want to win things because I want to do well for Rangers, not because I want to get my move to the Premier League or something like that. It is all about, what can I do best for Rangers, because that's ultimately my goal, and nothing beyond that. So it's certainly going to be interesting, Andrew. I think, William also touched on the idea of bringing in more of a Scottish core. Certainly, it looks like that's the path that we're going down. The players linked so far have all been with I think that mindset. Certainly the local element of that. I'm not saying we go and sign most of Hearts' first team, although one or two of them would be nice, because we don't want to end up as just Hearts again. We saw that wasn't enough to get them over the line, but I do think an influx of more Scottish-based players, players who are familiar with the league, will ultimately benefit us, and I think would stand us in good stead for the season up ahead.
Yeah, I think we've got, not ideally, but it's somewhat of the best of both worlds. I think Hearts would have been planning to be with McInnes this season. I think that would have been a given. The performance in the league would have, he's done an absolutely brilliant job with them. It took them all the way to the final day, and even then they still had a sniff. I think it all depends on how they actually were working their kind of scouting system and their transfers at Hearts. I think Derek, I would have guessed, would have been involved in some communications on as to where they would be looking this summer. Obviously, Hearts have made 5 signings so far, and they've all kind of been similar to their kind of style. And the whole, everyone's raving about Jamestown analytics. So you would have wondered how much of those conversations you would have been in, see if there's any names that maybe would have popped up that Hearts maybe couldn't have financed this year, that maybe fall into our bracket potentially, if you can maybe bring those names forward in our conversations. And obviously, we have our targets that would have been pre-planned for Danny Rule. I said previously in shows, I think the transfers that were made in January are good enough players and all round kind of builds and archetypes of players that any good manager can use. So I don't think it's a case of he can't get a tune out of a Turwomans or a Chigwani. I think those players can be useful tools in his team. Obviously, we'll discuss about our sporting advisor now becoming permanently brought in with into the fold for our recruitment, which I think will help kind of shore up this window and the window ahead, obviously with the new manager coming in. But yeah, I think good mixture between looking abroad as well as looking even nationally. I think you've seen names of Graham, Elliot Watt, even a wee bit at left field with Ross McCrory getting rumoured to becoming a target again, or names like those, that ilk, Nathan Patterson potentially, those guys that I know the club are Scottish, fill quotas, but also get what Rangers is, get the requirements when you put on that blue jersey and you step over the white line, that coincides with the manager. So it's a good mixture. I think we cover all the bases, and it's just about making the final decisions. By all means, if they were to find another Claudio Braga somewhere, or a Kizaridis who gives you X amount of chances a game, then sure. But if you can get those Scottish guys that can get in the ear of opposition and say, well, if you're going to try and stop my flashy winger from trying to score goals, I'm going to kick you all game long. So yeah, it's a bit of a reworking potentially, but I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, I think, William, we got the confirmation this week as well, lost in amongst all the other excitement, that Stig Bjornaby is going to be our new performance director after his role as football advisor. So, as Andrew said, the signings that we made in January with his input, I think have at least 3 out of 4 of them looked like good moves, certainly contributed. And yeah, with a full preseason, the opportunity to actually bed some of these players in, it is always going to be helpful as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what moves we do make in this transfer window. Certainly, I think the World Cup is always going to be an interesting factor because some players will be away. We're not going to be necessarily able to do all the deals, and that's because the market is going to be moving around for all clubs, not just us. But certainly, I think so far his record looks decent, and I'd be hopeful that with McInnes' input as well, he will certainly have in mind certain players who can make a difference. Should be interesting to see if he goes back to any players he's worked with previously, for instance, certain captains at Aberdeen or something like that. It will be interesting to see what happens with that. But I'm excited to see what McInnes can do now that he's actually got a budget to play with. Will be interesting.
Yeah, no, 100%. as you mentioned with Hearts, like they had like what, a tenth of our budget, or again them who won it across the other side of the city. So again, I don't expect, and I don't think every fan expects that every signing he makes is a diamond in the rough or a gem in the rough, as you would say, and they turn out to be absolute world beaters. I think there's just this minimum expectation that when you're signed by Glasgow Rangers, that the first thing you do is you do your homework and you understand our club and what it means to put on, as Andrew said, that blue t-shirt and cross that white line. Because, sorry to go back to it and beating the same drum, but we are unique. There's no other place like Scotland in what we're in, and the rivalry that we have with every other club in Scotland itself. So I think, and again, to go back to the 4 signings that he made, again, 2 Romans, I think everyone could maybe in the same boat. Potential future captain, if Matt, between him and Manny, that again, I always have the philosophy, should always build from the back. That's just, I think you have a solid defence and you build up from there, and then you build up from the core, from your centre backs to your midfielders to then your number 9. I think number 9 is locked down. Again, but it depends on the key positions that we put around Lawrence Shankland. Again, I think a lot of people maybe underestimate the work rate that he does off the ball and how he links up play. He kind of like drops in. I don't know if it's like a false, again, my knowledge is like football manager, so apologies, like false 9 or whatever, links up with people, gets other strikers, your inverted wingers, brings them into play. I would actually be quite interested, because a question was posted in the group chat. If Scott Wilson was to be available for around 2-3 million, would you take him? Personally, I would, yeah. I'll die in this hill. I think Scott Wilson was utilised in the wrong formation. I think when Danny played the kind of 4-2-3-1, that's when we saw the better of him. Again, the Kilmarnock game, that always sticks out, even with Ant-Man, with 2 Romans. I know it's only one game, you can't go based off of one game, but there was potential there. So I would definitely take him back. And the 2 other, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Who's the 2 other guys that he brought in again? That's terrible. I should know that. So you get 2 Romans. You had
Chikwani,
and
our striker as well.
Yeah. So Chikwani again. Like, I was happy when he came in because everyone's saying how versatile he is. But as I said in the last podcast, I think that can be a hindrance in some way. See, if you're too versatile, like, you don't really have a lockdown position. So you're kind of like going from like playing to number 6, playing a number 8, playing a number 10, or whatever it is. I would quite like to see. I think he's quite good as a number 6 or as a your box to box midfielder. He wins the ball very easily. It's like, doesn't really make an effort. Just kind of sticks his foot in, shoves the player off the ball, and that's it. So I'd quite like to see him in those positions. Obviously, there's rumours and speculations are that Atalanta are interested in Raskin. Depending on the price, yeah, I mean, he's got 2 years. I understand he's in a World Cup at the moment. The last thing he wants to think about, well, maybe that's the wrong word. Sorry, the last thing on his mind at this present time is to renegotiate a contract with Rangers when he's trying to go far with Belgium. So if he isn't willing to stay, this is just my personal opinion, I would be then looking to say, right, how can we get the best out of this asset? Because history has proven we have not sold on assets when we should have, and it's hindered us. And what we don't want is to hinder McInnes and the transfer kitty that he might get. So I would sell him. If we can bring in Ferguson, I think that's a no-brainer. Another former captain. I think he was a captain at Aberdeen with McInnes, if I'm not mistaken. So again, 2 guys, understand his philosophy. Massive Rangers fans, do you know what I mean? Like, take the history away from it and who they played for. Well, Ferguson. But again, understands what it means to put on that blue jersey, as Andrew said, and cross that white line. And those guys will run through brick walls for McInnes. So that's 2 of your core players. You've got sorted striker, midfield. We then just need to go for centre back. Again, we either bring in an experienced centre back along Manny. Again, I think everyone also is in the same boat with this. Manny is that he's super confident, but like I don't want to say lazy, but is it lackadaisical is maybe the best word? He'll like stroll and make a pass, and I'm like, mate, come on. I need to a wee bit. That guy was too close, but again, he's a big unit, a boy, so I don't expect to see anyone push him off the ball. But get that experienced head kind of next to Manny Fernandez, and then you can possibly look at some youth prospects. I know we're linked to that boy Luke Graham for Dundee, I think, the centre-back, left-sided centre-back. As a left footer, all the best players in the world are left foot. That's just my personal opinion. So I would definitely try to get him. Again, he's young. I'm sure he understands if he was to come to Rangers, he understands the club, the history that comes with it. And then again, it's right back. I know we are talking about the Swedish guy. I'm terrible at saying Scandinavian names, so I'm not even going to attempt it. I'll let somebody else do that. I'll just be honest. But I think right back. I think because of who the right back will be replacing, there's going to be a lot of pressure. No matter if you loved or hated Tavernier, there will be a lot of pressure on whoever comes in that right back position. Because I think the first game where they make a mistake, which it will happen, we are human, we make mistakes. People make turn around and say, Tavernier wouldn't have done that. So it's just that weight and pressure you carry. Maybe not the same number as in Jersey, but there's that pressure will come you right back. And I think if you get that good Scottish core, and then Bjorn Ingeby, if that's the case, I'm probably butchering that, sorry. Was that good? Perfect. He'll be able to sprinkle in that kind of European continental talent. He'll be able to go into those untapped markets that we don't know of and say, listen, this guy, we should he's a prospect, we should maybe take a risk on him. Because every prospect a risk, there's no ways about it. You can dress it up however you want. It's a risk, so they either turn out to be good or they don't. So again, 3 out of 4, I think that's good so far. But again, that's half a season. Let's see how they do with a full season, new formation, new philosophy, and with a Scottish manager. And I'll be interested to see kind of the signings that they bring in. I would like to see maybe 11, 12, and I think I would be happy at least 8 of them are of moderately good standard. They can step in right away, and then you have your youth prospects or your kind of your gems in the rough you want to polish and then possibly selling.
Yeah, I think on the Scott Olsen point, I think my reluctance comes. I joked in the group chat that I'd want to be paid £2 to £3 million for us to take him back. But in all seriousness, I think I am concerned about his mentality. I get it's tough playing in a position that you're not familiar with, you don't like, but he didn't look interested in football, which is a shame because he's a beast on Football Manager. So it's for me, I think I would be more inclined to go for a loan rather than looking at a permanent transfer at this stage, just to see what we could get out of him. Because he's on a hefty wage. We'd be having to put out a transfer fee for him, like the 2 to 3 million. And what I don't want to be doing is making a commitment to a player who, let's be honest, failed to impress. You can say that he was maybe mismanaged or something like that, but for me, he didn't do enough to impress us. I mean, you compare that to Mikey Moore, who has played in basically every attacking position that we had going, apart from just main striker. He managed to make an impression in most of those games, apart from under Russell Martin, but I think we can consider those extenuating circumstances at that point. Andrew, I want to turn to the fixtures that were announced, and let me see if I can make some magic happen. All right, just check this shit out. Boom. Look at that. Look at us go. Got magic happening. I'm going to hide the old QR code so I can see my beautiful face as well. That's our fixtures confirmed. Well, as they stand for next season. We know that obviously TV will cause these to be moved around. So opening game away to Dundee United. That's on a Friday night. Full weekend of Scottish Premier League football coming up for everyone that tuned into Sky Sports, which I don't think has happened before. So that'll be interesting. I know that they haven't made that same commitment for the rest of the season. So, obviously they don't think there's going to be that level of excitement for the rest of it. But still, good to see they're having some interest in the league at least. Away to Dundee United, then Hibs, St Mirren, Aberdeen, Falkirk, Motherwell, and then September 20th, the first Old Firm of the season away. Your initial thoughts on the league fixtures, Andrew? I think ultimately, for me, I don't really put too much stock between, we've been given a horrible run of fixtures at the start. Ultimately, you have to play everyone. Every team has to play everyone. You're never going to get the perfect run. you can absolutely ask questions about this random supercomputer that we use for this. But ultimately, you have to play everyone in the league a couple of times. So it is what it is. What were your initial thoughts, I guess, on the opening fixtures there?
I mean, it's difficult to tell. I mean, obviously that first game, there's gonna be a buzz about us. You know, I think it'd be incredible if there wasn't. You know, I think that the crowd travelling down to Tannadice or travelling up to Tannadice, travelling to Tannadice, we're just gonna say that, will be loud and obviously doing our best to get behind the team. So if you're not feeling alive on that night, then check your pulse. But I think that first game will be the measuring stick to see how much of this is getting to the players, how much of whatever system we're going to play. It's so difficult to forecast shape when, you know, a manager can stick to the shape for as long as he does, but at Kilmarnock, at St Johnstone, at Aberdeen, at Hearts, but he might just all of a sudden become pragmatic and go, well, I'm at Rangers now and I want to try this. If he does, you know, it's not impossible. He wouldn't, but also I wouldn't be, you know, advising him to do so. But there'll be a lot of question marks being answered when that team sheet comes out ahead of that game. 90 minutes will be getting reviewed like under the microscope when nothing else before. Is this Rangers team going to be a success? Because regardless of everything after the 31st, this game will for that fortnight in the papers and everything after that, you know, will be the be all and end all. If Rangers win but don't do it convincingly, or they might be slipping. If Rangers win convincingly, all of a sudden we're going to win the league again. You know, he's going to hassle it back, and this will be a start of a Rangers dominance. You know, if we draw again, end of the world. It's so difficult to tell when you're sitting with a sheet full of fixtures like that. You're going to have to sprinkle in Europe in there and cup comps. It's a brave new dawn, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. As I say, I think if we could get a win in that first day, you then roll into Hibs at home, the first home game of the season. If they thought the buzz was good away, it'll be even better at home. If you win that, all of a sudden you're starting to believe again. So it's so difficult that when you're sitting here right now. But yeah, I'm not too upset by it. Again, this supercomputer does what it does, but yeah,
Yes. Yeah, well, it's completely random. William, interesting that we don't actually play Hearts until the last possible moment in that fixture list as well. But that's, hey, it's random, right? What can you do? I know that Stevie fully expected us to be drawn against either them or Aberdeen for the first game of the season. But listen, I kind of agree with Andrew. I don't think it's a terrible run of fixtures at the start. Interesting again that the Old Firm is pushed back to a bit of a later date rather than in the 4th. It's the 6th game instead, or the 7th game. But hey, we have to play everyone in the end. And yeah, away to Dundee United, up to or down to Tannadice. Hey, it's another opportunity to set a marker, because it feels like the past few seasons, every time we've already dropped points. That'd be a really good opportunity to go top of the league on the first day of the season.
Yeah, it'd be perfect. But again, every match is just like it's what you make of it. I know it kind of sounds a bit like everyone knows that, but it is kind of hard to kind of guess what's going to happen, like what Andrew said. So I suppose just every match, you're only good as your last. That's what it is. We just need to take one match at a time. The fans, and rightly so, like again, sometimes I find myself getting caught up. I always going into every season just try and say, right, let's not get emotional, let's be very logical, let's not get our hopes up, all that type of stuff. Let's just take it each game at a time. But then we get a good run, we feel invincible, and then we have that one draw. As Andrew said, a draw is just like that's it, it's a travesty. And then obviously a loss is just absolutely chaotic, like riots in the streets. Obviously that's not us. But yeah, I think as I said, European qualifiers in there as well. It'll be interesting to see who we get in that. But this is where the utility of our squad is going to come in massive with all these games. This is why, like, harping back to my previous point, we need to get the majority of these signings as best as we can. They need to be good, solid players for us, and then we can maybe kind of do what we used to do in the past, bring in some youth talent to play cup games. No disrespect to the smaller teams, but if we get like a championship, League 1, League 2 or whatever like that, we kind of let our guys rest. Kind of sports science and all that rubbish. I think that's a load of rubbish, to be fair. But it's a part of the game now. We can't do anything about it. So it'll be interesting. I think we just take it a game at a time. Again, Dundee United away Friday. I don't see why we can't go there and set a marker down. A good solid, like maybe 2-3-0 would be nice. I know I'm saying try to be logical and not get too far ahead of myself, but I'm allowed to dream, you know what I mean? So and then as Andrew said as well, Hibernian at home, that'll be bouncing. Again, a little bit of a personal note, I just get my season ticket back, so I can't wait to be back at Ibrox. Had to give it up with getting married to my wife, so I blame that on her. But just don't let her hear that I said that, because she will battle me. But it will be good to get back. Atmosphere. I think if anything, I don't even want to say goes awry against the Dundee United game, I still think the fans will be bouncing and they'll want to get behind Derek McInnes and the squad. And again, no Rangers fan wants us to do bad, but we're crying out to go on and win the league. I don't think anyone expects us to do. It'd be nice to be invincible again, go undefeated. But we understand there'll be hiccups, there'll be stuff along the way. It's just if we can build up enough, if we can get enough wins, get enough momentum behind us, that we draw here or that loss here might not matter as much, so long as we do everything else. Like those games again, Dundee United away, Aberdeen away. That's for me. It's the smaller games. I don't want to sound disrespectful, but kind of like the Fall Cup, those types of teams. That's where we tend to slip up when we do get that momentum, and we go into a game and it's like, right, cool, we're licking our lips. We should beat this team, and we literally get 20 shots. It's like literally in Football Manager, you get 20 shots, 10 on target. The team gets one, scores one. You're like, what is going on here? Like, where have we went wrong? So yeah. Again, it's hard to predict, but I'm optimistic, as I'm sure everyone else is. It'll be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, before we get to that, we know that now we will have at least one preseason friendly. I think we will have one or two more, potentially behind closed doors. But we know that we'll be playing West Ham on the 26th of July on Sunday at 4:00. So, we can use that for wild speculation and, immediately make all the worst possible assumptions about the team, even though we know that the transfer window will be going on past the start of the season. It is what it is, but it does give us an opportunity to hopefully start to see this squad coming together, Andrew, and gives the fans the first look at a Derek McInnes Rangers, which would be nice and interesting.
Friendly games mean absolutely nothing to me, Andrew. I mean, we played Bayer Leverkusen and played well, and they went on to win the Bundesliga, and then Michael Beale got sacked. So it means
beat Real Madrid. I'm just saying,
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. We play these good teams in pre-season, Arsenal and Brighton and so on, and it's so like, oh, it's brilliant. It's going to be good just to be back, to be involved at Ibrox again, and the new season starting to come to fruition. But it's very difficult to make a lot out of it. West Ham obviously being relegated, and everything that comes with that project. Big question marks over where West Ham are going to go. Players, they're going to sell. Are they going to just try and blitz it and go straight back up? It's going to be it's difficult to tell. I think it's this is quite a bold take, but I actually don't mind the London Stadium. I think it's quite an interesting design. I know West Ham fans absolutely hate it, and in comparison to Bowling Green, I get that, but it would have been cool if we were down in London for a pre-season game. But I'm not turning my nose up at Ibrox, obviously, but nice away day in London would have been pretty cool. But yeah, it's not really much you can really hang your hat on with a pre-season fixture announcement. Obviously, minutes and legs ahead of European qualifiers and league campaigns, the big things. But yeah, we'll take it.
I'd have appreciated the away fixture instead, because it's 20 minutes away from my house. So that would have been lovely for me. But Rangers don't think about me. And that's frankly everything that's wrong with Rangers right now. thinking about a guy in England as opposed to a guy in Scotland. Yeah, William, obviously, it's all speculation at this point, but again, just part of that preseason, it's preparation, it's minutes and legs, it's getting us up to, a decent level. And I think West Ham will be a decent challenge, as Andrew says, and as many of my friends down here remind me frequently that they, were unlucky to get relegated. It should have been Spurs, and so on and so forth. It's hard cheese, lads. It will still be a good test for us because I think they are a team who will be looking to come straight back up. They'll be preparing their season on that basis, and they should represent a good test for us before the season kicks off proper. So, again, I think it's exactly the type of team that we should be having a preseason against because it is a good level of opposition that sets us up nicely for the season up ahead.
Yeah, again, it will be interesting to kind of see what they do. As Andrew says, the same majority of players kind of go. That's kind of what you tend to find, kind of go majority English and sprinkling a little bit of kind of European or whatever kind of talent they can find. So, again, like as fans, I think kind of dissing a little bit with Andrew in the preseason. Like as fans, maybe don't see it as important, but again, I think that's because preseason maybe lost a little bit of its meaning. Like I want again, like way back when I was active in sports, that was the time when you're trying to prove to your coaches, prove to your managers, like, no, this is why you start me. This is where the young guys they come up and be like, no, this is why you should be putting me as your depth player, as your rotational player, whatever that may be. Which again can make it interesting because listen, I'll be honest, like I can't remember the last time I went to a friendly. So I'm going to come across a little bit hypocritical, but I do think it is important that the players, the starters, the squad players, ones who are kind of in the fringe of rotation, that they do go out there and perform for however many minutes they get, because that's what's going to give Derek McInnes the idea of the core of players that he wants to proceed forward with. He'll have his players, I think. I don't think there's any harm in saying it. Like he knows, right, cool. This guy's always going to be starting no matter what, unless, God forbid, an injury or something like that happens. But this is a chance for young players, like kind of that. Is it left back? Is it Scally, the kind of the young boy and stuff? I know people are talking about with Rule, Kyle Glasgow as well. I think a few other. I can't remember if you've done it, Andrew. Sorry if you put in one of the youth guys as well. If it was Calvin, this is a chance for these young guys, like the centre back, to go and get their make a name for themselves in pre-season, knock on the manager's door and say, this is why I believe I should be on the fringe of your rotational squad for cup matches, stuff like that. And new guys we bring in, yeah, it's a chance for them to kind of get to grips with British football, especially with West Ham. Do I think we'll bring in many players by that point? Hopefully, again, fingers crossed, but we'll just need to wait and see. So pre-season, I would say, is important. Oh, sorry, it's good so long as the players put all the effort into it and they get something out of it, and the manager can see, cool, I know this guy really wants it because he's performing like this in pre-season. What's it going to do for me in when the season starts?
Yeah. Listen, folks, it's all speculation at this point. Derek Guess is still not back in the country yet. We know that obviously there's a bit of a footballing tournament going on at the moment, which I'm keen to get off so that folk can go and watch, two of the giants of the competition, the USA and the Socceroos, taking on each other. And then I think there's another game on later on this evening. Some other teams maybe of some interest to some people. Believe they've got a very good striker who should be starting up front, but we'll see how well their manager goes along with that. Yeah. It's always good to talk to you guys. It's all speculation at this point, but it's certainly given us, I think, more reasons to be optimistic for the season coming up. So, obviously, we encourage you to stay tuned. We thank you so much for your support. I want to thank my two lovely co-hosts. First of all, Andrew, appreciate you coming on as ever, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, another Good Friday episode. Happy that we've made the first step in this kind of post-season and the build up to the start of the new year, a new season ahead, with the manager being announced, fixtures announced. Now it's just going to be players, new signings, new faces, entire backline to kind of rebuild. Will be interesting. Hampus Scogland was the name. I know it's been shot down, unfortunately, by the lad at Hammerby, but I think he would be a real talent. But yeah, it's going to be one of these in the coming weeks where names are going to come out of the woodwork, and we're going to go, oh yeah, he'll be a great talent, without really ever seeing them until the scarf picture. And then we can really start to get excited then. But yeah, thanks for having me on again.
Of course, mate. No worries at all. And William, pleasure to have you here on the Friday Night Podcast for the first time. You survived. You didn't make any horrific sexual jokes about the formation that Rangers play in, so you're already a step above most of our players. Yeah, appreciate you as ever, and thanks for coming on, man.
No, thanks for having us. Again, I'll just make sure not to let my daughter pick a hat next time if I'm happy on the get the hats on. I better update my wardrobe and ask his recommendations for some hats, I suppose.
It's not mandatory, it's just encouraged. So yeah, don't worry too much about it. Folks, I want to thank you all for tuning in and joining us tonight, or if you're listening on the playback. If you want to continue to support the channel, please obviously do all the liking, sharing and subscribing. That always helps us. But if you want to support us even more, you can sign up as a member using the QR code right up there. That gives you ad-free versions of the shows. It also gives you exclusive first looks at some of the more interesting shows that we do. We've got a Rangers Heroes series. Obviously, we're doing the kind of big player or Rangers Legends interviews as well. So plenty of good stuff up on there, and would highly encourage you to check it out. Only 99p a month, and you get ad-free versions of all the shows that we do as well. So would definitely encourage you to check that out. My thanks to everyone for tuning in. Thanks again to Andrew and William. And yeah, it's a pleasure, folks. Stay tuned. We'll keep you updated. But until we talk to you again, folks, bye for now.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.